How's that sound?
Tony Caravan. You've been subjected to a highly sophisticated form of propaganda.
It's just what you need, not what you don't. Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale.
It's an excursion into the odd and into the very, very different.
Good morning.
There's a bug in my... Well, I don't know if there is or isn't. I kind of look a little washed out, but, you know, vanity will get you nowhere. Video capture device, filters, color correction. Let's see, saturation. No. We could do the show in black and white. So instead of worrying about color, why don't we just even go back worse? Let's just take a tint. Take it even worse. See, I could see the I want to believe here, but I don't think you can. Gamma. Let's take the gamma down. U shift. Purple. Green. Greenish. Nah. How about that? It's kind of blurry, isn't it? Compared to seeing it at a smaller level. What do you guys think? Thank you, and thank y'all. How about you guys on the other side of the room?
Brilliant!
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, so I see Nerve Gorilla celebrating 200 and some odd subscribers, and was it subs in 2000? Subs, they call them subs. These YouTuber, professional YouTuber millionaires, they call them subs. Well, like I said in your comments section, you beat me by 239. I think I got one. I might have gotten one. You might have beaten me entirely, like completely. I might not have gotten no subs this year. I think I only have 30 to begin with. What's that plaque doing on the wall? You mean behind this thing? You mean that thing back there? It says presented to Tony Caravan Live for exceeding 3 viewers. Yeah, welcome to the real world. It's my world and welcome to it. For some reason, my monitor's like out of whack. Like it should be over a little bit because my on-air sign was being cut off slightly. Gotta have things right, My stomach's been upset since yesterday afternoon. Had a pain on the liver and gallbladder side for the better part of the night. And then over probably on the pancreas. Yeah. So let's get into the show. So who cares about that? Death be not proud, whatever that line was. So as you know, let's take you back in time. This clean, bright, ridiculous insanity was what I did. This was this morning because all hell has broken loose. At 1:23 a.m., it started a deluge. Now, they're saying it on the weather forecast here that it's supposed to have turned to snow, but I asked my Echo Dot what the weather was, and the AI thing, said, oh, it's 45 degrees and it's raining. It's going to be raining. So all I know is that I had the drip, drip, drip in my bedroom, and my bedroom is below this. And that little bit of water stains that you see there, They weren't even really there. That's from me bringing the bucket with the pump on it over and accidentally spilling it along the way. But there was water underneath those 2 cat litter trays, soaking wet rag. And that's what was coming down. Now you tell me, I mean, this is the picture this morning, which doesn't really tell you much other than the fact that, take my word for it, that, well, even if that little bit of water that was in those bins was real, you can see there's no water anywhere else. But in reality, let's go back to look at, this is in daylight what I did. Now, where the heck is the water coming from if there's no way for anything to get from that roof except to fall into those bins? And those, okay, where? Right? What kind of cruel, insane joke? Where's the water coming from? There's like this pool of water underneath those like litter boxes, particularly the one closest to the wall. But there's no sign of water coming down from that wall. This is the stuff I got to deal with. All right? This is the stuff I got to deal with. It's crazy. But, I can't let that acid build up in me, the stress acid stuff, because that just like complicates things worse. So as my title card here shows, Tales from the Attic, the morning show with Tony C. I took that picture this morning. That's the other side of the room where I have this conglomeration. And despite that conglomeration of litter boxes and things trying to divert water, and you should see above it, there's all kinds of sealants and stuff. I was getting water dripping in the hallway and in the front bedroom. And on this side, like where I am over here on this side, that's the back bedroom. It was getting water leaking too. I mean, I have collection buckets under the spot because I know where the spots are. I mean, you got to be kidding me, man. Like, what the?
Really funny. Really funny.
It's really funny, man.
The Weather Watch forecast.
And let's take a look at the weather here today. It's currently 3:18 a.m. on this Thursday afternoon, or Thursday morning, I should say, or Thursday early morning, March 3rd. It's apparently 36 degrees according to this weather that I'm looking at, but it's not 36 degrees and snowing. It's not snowing out there. I mean, we got a camera there. I don't see any snow. You see any snow out there? Just rain. You could see the shine. See, there's a window across. If you look up in a camera too, there's these lights in the display store window over there, and they're reflecting off the rainy, wet ground. There's no snow coming down. Temperature's wrong. 90% chance of snow. Tonight it's going to get down to 16. Saturday and Sunday it's going to be 64 degrees. Thunderstorms Sunday, Monday, guaranteed rain, deluge again. I don't know what else I could do to stop the flood, this like mystery leak. Literally. I don't know what to do. I know what it is. Yesterday I did this job for somebody, and I left the universal access on my audio computer on. Yeah. So usually this is more of our morning view, right? That seemed better for you folks? Yeah, I think so.
Hey, it's me. How you doing, man?
Well, it rained again, deluge, downpour. It rained like cats and dogs, like they say. And I put all hell broke loose at 1:23 a.m. and I'm up doing a show at 3:20 a.m. Had some cereal with some almond type milk type of stuff in because I think there was no sugars in it, and there might not have been carbs in it or low carbs or something like that. I don't know what it was. It's one of those weird things, it's like I seem okay. I mean, the colorization on this is weird because it's dark, and when I try changing the color, it still doesn't look weird. But I mean, generally speaking, my teeth are clean and my mind is capped. My eyes are white. I don't have jaundice, but I got like a bad liver and a broken heart. It's a line from a Tom Waits song. Look at this picture, that I'm using for this title card or thumbnail. I literally snapped that picture within the past hour. Or less. That's my attic, my third floor. At one point, somebody apparently lived on the third floor, the previous owner or something, because they had those boards you see in the foreground, and you could see where the walls have been opened up in the back. To me, to get at the roof to see if I could find these leaks, and then cover it with all kinds of sealants and stuff. I used everything, imaginable. I went to Home Depot, I went to Lowe's, I went to Ace. I used that stupid stuff. It's rubber in a can. And I used their version of the tape. I used sealants you paint on. I used sprays. I even accidentally bought some stuff that was like a super sealant. But when I read this, it smelled horrible. And then when I read the instructions, it had benzene in it. And benzene is like one of those things that's like guaranteed cancer causing thing. And I inhaled it. Oh, man. Coffee's not hot because I forgot to turn my coffee warmer on. I'm wondering why it's warm. Yeah, nobody should be up at this hour. So I guess I figured, well, that's of no consequence. That's of no consequence. Yesterday's show was quite a rant, wasn't it?
I ain't one yet.
I was supposed to be this.
I ain't one yet.
You're all marionettes. We're all marionettes, And apparently...
Your papers, please.
This has gone stealth now. Like they're downplaying the thing. But they're still like kind of stealthily implementing it. It's kind of weird. I went to the supermarket 2 days ago. Yesterday I just trimmed some bush. which is can be taken in two different ways, but unfortunately it wasn't taken in the way Eddie Murphy referred to in the first movie of that movie where they took him out, L.A. Cop or whatever, Beverly Hills Cop. No, I wasn't trimming bush. I was trimming my, over on the doctor's side of my house, trimming some of my plants, cuttings so that it wouldn't interfere with the cars where the nurses park over there. Because there's like it's not an alley, it's like a drive area next to my fence. There's a doctor's office on one side of my office and a genuine, 4'8" witch, bent over witch that looks like something out of like a Grimm's fairy tale, who I think probably gave me every illness that I have. I'm serious about that. There are witches. There are. There are witches. There are. I'm not going to post this one on LinkedIn to go along with my resume. You know, the thing about people is that, they're just like
Really funny. Really funny.
there's no humor in the world today. Yesterday, I tried to explain that 40,000 people a day were dying in the United States and 2,000 people a day, more or less, were being murdered in the U.S. I mean, weekly for both of those numbers. And everybody's glued to, like, Ukraine. And I'm going like, yeah, I feel sorry for anybody. But, there's also things going on in Africa and South America and Southeast Asia. Wait till the Chinese attack Taiwan. Wait till they do that. Man, that's going to be like Blitzkrieg. You guys have no idea. Yeah, man, it's going to be frickin'... You know it. Oh, no. Well, get ready for it. It doesn't matter. We're living in, Psychoville. And, I'm the mayor. This is my state of Psychoville, speech. You think they would have given me a better mansion being the mayor of Psychoville than this attic. I never imagined at this point in my life that I would be dealing with this stuff. Yeah, you see, it's not snowing out there. And you could hear, well, you can't, but my headphones are more sensitive with this mic because this is directional, pretty much just me. But I have it turned up really loud because I like to hear, the voice, the nuance. But as those cars go by, you can just tell it's just wet, rain, whatever. And the weather forecast is saying it's 36 degrees and snowing. But if you ask there goes the coal trucks feeding a power plant. Did you know your electric car runs on coal and natural gas? What's the idea? Like, like the psycho, here's the real psycho thing, when you think about it. If, so this Biden administration, Dementia Joe and company, I don't know. I mean, I think they're basically all part of the, the marionette, they're just being told what to do by NATO and the World Economic Forum and all those people. That's the same with that whole war over there. That's a NATO war. You know that, right? I mean, the stocks of all the military contractors are going up, right? Like, in other words, the World Economic Forum Great Reset is getting everything they want, and the Biden administration is getting everything they want out of this war. It's just too bad that innocent people have to die. But remember, those people are just, in their minds, cattle, and soldiers are just pawns, just, cannon fodder, like they used to say in the old days, World War I, WW1. And people just can't see that because they're so out of touch with reality. And that just, to me, is just like a mind blower. It's a real mind blower. Because I just, it's hard to imagine that there isn't somebody. I mean, there's a couple of people like is it what's his name? Paul Joseph. What's his last name? My neck is stiff too. I think that's all related to this, whatever. My whole abdomen is like probably one big tumor or something. I need a masseuse. I need I need one of those like masseuses with like, big breasts, like leaning over and the breast like visible to you as she's leaning over giving me a massage as I do this show. That's what I need right now. Can I have one of those, please? That's not going to happen. Paul Joseph Watson. Do you ever watch his videos? I don't know how he's still on YouTube, because he's like one of the last truth tellers there is, But anyway, maybe because he's a Brit or something. I don't know. I don't get it. But he's on. I'm glad he's on. I watched his video yesterday. Watch yesterday's video because it deals with this whole thing. Paul Joseph Watson. They're real short videos. They only last like, they're not like mine. They go on forever. But apart from a guy like him, I don't see anybody else besides me really like laying things out. Everybody's like either is somehow caught in the political side of thing or the cult of personality side of things. Not even the socioeconomic geopolitics. They don't see that part, right? And the ones that do understand that is that's pretty much 90% of what's going on is socioeconomic geopolitics. They still won't take it to that 10%, which is what it's really all about. That this is an intended effort. Putin got a phone call. He got the okay. He was given the okay by these World Economic Forum, Great Reset, EU, Davos type, NATO, people who've taken over the U.S., gang, right? It's an organized crime syndicate that's taken over the world. It's right out. It's not out of a movie, a Bond villain movie anymore. It's more out of like a graphic novel, this is more like we're entering into like real comic book land, but comic, as true people who understand what comics are. So it's best to say graphic novel. Yeah, that's where we are. These are graphic novel villains. What's going on over there. And people are like so clueless to it that it is like beyond belief that they just can't see that. And it's impossible. They've been somehow indoctrinated or bombarded with propaganda or conditioned in such a way, psychologically, because they don't know it consciously, right? It's in their bioelectric brain. It's been programmed in there, right? In this, bioelectric computer. And so they can't even go where the truth is. Like the truth is like so, it's just it does not compute, I guess is the best way to put it. So how do you compare? So, like I say, for example, okay, thousands Thousands of people were killed in this unnecessary war. All right. And then people are like shocked and glued to the TV, and it's all you hear and everybody's talking about. Now, how about this forecast or this report? Forecast. It's not even a forecast. Thousands of people were murdered in the U.S. this week, most of which will go unsolved. There could be a murderer living right next door to you. Guy sitting at the head of the table, right, with the, deciding what story they're going to put on the air. No, to heck with that one. Run with that Ukraine thing. 40,000 people may have unnecessarily died this week and next week and every week in the U.S. due to diseases that are preventable, treatable, and or possibly even curable. 40,000 people in the U.S. will die this week. All right? A couple thousand people may get hit by some missiles or something over and across the Atlantic. Some war created by, because NATO wants to expand and whatever. They don't want to have another independent country. They want to go blah, blah, blah. No, go with the NATO. Go with the, don't say the NATO thing. Go with the Ukraine story. Okay? Yeah, but 40,000 people, man, they're dying a week in the U.S. Okay? Every week. 40,000. All right? No, go with the Ukraine story. What about the 2,000 people that are being murdered in the U.S. every week? And they're not even solving the murders. Nah, go with that Ukraine story. Putin, he's, it'll keep him tuned in during the commercial breaks. Nobody cares about murders and homicides. Nobody cares about people dying of heart attacks or diabetes or nephrosis, whatever, kidney problems and stuff from food and cancer. And nobody cares about people committing suicide and stuff like that. Cover the Ukraine story. Keep people tuned in during the commercials. And it helps some of our sponsors, too. We got to look out for those military contractors. I got stock in some of those companies, and they're going up. They went up 14%. One went up 14% last week. The other one's up 10%, man. I'm making money. And I'm making money on those homicides or those diseases. Well, unless you invest in the big pharma companies. So, yeah, let those things happen. Let's not get people aware of that. Let's let that happen. Too much money in that industry. Big pharma. And big tech. Trying to make AI, transhumanism, and all this other happy horse shit. Meanwhile, you take a combination of resveratrol, NME, and some other thing, and you skip, you have a 12-hour break between, one of your meals or something like that, and you'll extend your life and heal your body. And they want to put your brain in a machine. You could live and when they already pretty much have there's about 3 different people who are pushing 3 different longevity cures that are so basic. It's like take a few supplements, do a little of this, do a little of that. Unless you got bad luck like me, or they're fucking pointing something at you, right? They buried that story a while back. Remember, all these people were coming down with these weird government people and diplomats and stuff. Even in D.C. it was happening. At first they thought it was like the Cubans were doing something to them. Right at the Cuban embassy, I think, is where it was tested or something. But then it was happening to people in D.C. and stuff. Sudden people were coming, getting walking down the steps and getting dizzy and stuff like that. That happened to me. I ended up in the hospital. I got pills for it upstairs. Take, if necessary, for dizziness. They can shoot this shit at you, man. Who knows how they do it? They could maybe put it through your earbud or something. It is the year 2022. You think I'm this is crazy, tinfoil hat stuff. You have no idea, man. Check that video out from Congress from I think the early 70s or something like that, where they had two spooks, two CIA guys were being grilled by a congressional panel. And they're saying, and the guy had the thing in his hand, and you're saying, so you're telling me that this gun can actually is what is commonly referred to? Yes, sir. It's referred to as the heart attack gun. And as they're holding up this thing in the halls of Congress, it's no fake video. This is like, the real thing. They had that 50 years ago. They had a gun they could point at people from a distance and give them a heart attack. And the guy died from a heart attack. That's as bad as these as they suicide people now. But they must have some other thing now. I think they can basically send through your ears, because when it first affects people, they get this dizziness and that kind of thing happens. So it probably comes in through the audio canal type of thing. But then once it comes in, then it goes and it attacks like key organs and and that's what they do. Who are they? The organized crime syndicate, the Davos set, the people that run the world, the people that gave Putin the okay to invade Ukraine. All right? Because the war profiteers and wars for what are wars? What is the purpose of a war in the past, say, I don't know, 60 some years? What have been the purposes of these? Well, let's just say 40 years. Let's start with Reagan, era, maybe 35. Oil and war profiteers. I mean, if you could go back 50, 60 years, it was war profiteering. That's what Eisenhower was talking about. Yeah, let's listen to it, because today's a weird show. I shouldn't even be up, man.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist.
Yeah, you bet it will persist, and it has. It persisted complete. And there's people there that still think that, Russia is this.
I can no longer sit back and allow communist infiltration, communist indoctrination, communist subversion, and the international communist conspiracy.
The only problem is the CCP is the Chinese, not the Russians. That's the funniest thing to be me. I don't know.
Every kiss, every hug seems to act just like a drug. You're getting to see your habit with me. Let me stay in your arms. I'm addicted to your charms. You're getting to be your habit with me.
After he's stalked, we must get rid of him immediately.
Yeah. That ain't gonna happen.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
So, yeah, I mean, we're talking freeform here. Imagine, though. So the cat's crawling all over my freaking pancreas, gallbladder, and liver after it was finally calmed down by about 1 a.m. in the morning, right? And then putting his face right up to my face, which is a sign that a cat is, I guess, sensing, smelling your, illness. And then, so that wakes me up. And then literally within seconds, if not a minute, I hear a deluge. And then within so much time after that, sure enough, dripping right into the bedroom. And I go upstairs. There's the attic. And, of course, all those cat litter boxes, the ones that by that, shower curtain type thing, the three hugging the wall, the two cream ones and the red one, and I guess the one in front of it. I had to drain. I drained about a half a bucket of water out of those with the battery powered pump, and that one against the other wall. So it was like maybe 2/3 of a fairly decent sized bucket. I should have left the bucket and the pump in the foreground, so then you could have seen this thing. I screwed up. I'm not likely to do it anyway. I don't know. I don't know what to eat. It's going to rain a lot this spring. It's going to rain a lot. It has, see, all hell has broken loose, but it hasn't gotten really bad yet because what happens is it's still cold. So when we get, like tonight, if it goes down to whatever they said, I'll check here on what I'm doing when I'm looking away from you and stuff. I'm looking at the, oh my God, my little weather app, widget. So it's supposed to go down to 16 tonight, which might be the last time we get a teens. So that means my heat's going to be on like full blast, which is going to dry out, because the radiators will be on and it'll dry out the ceiling and all that stuff. But see, after that, we're going to start getting some weather where you're going to start hitting 60s and 50s and overnights above freezing. And so the likelihood, you're not going to get that like heat coming on a lot. And so that's when you have the potential. That's when this turns into like a nightmare times 10, because then you have to worry about mold. You see? See, mold can't grow if the humidity's like down below, even below 40, it rarely grows. But, this time of year, when it's 16 degrees outside, my heat's on. I have a humidity detector upstairs. Actually, 2 of them. And the humidity's like 30. I've already seen it 20, 22, 27, I mean, I drink a lot of liquids and hydrate myself. That's not the problem I have. If I probably didn't drink a lot of liquids and hydrate myself, I'd probably be dead already. That and garlic. Keeping me alive. I try to exercise, but I'm just bored with exercise. It's like people at school, bored with education. If I had it to do over again, I'd quite have quit high school and just worked for my dad in a print shop. Married a girl, had a couple of kids, and had a man cave, and moved into some neighborhood where I had friends and stuff and just socialized and had a decent life, and then eventually keeled over from a heart attack from eating fast food or eating bowling alley food, hanging out with the boys. And I died with a smile on my face with a beautiful wife. Yeah. I never expected it to be this way, I'll tell you. This goes against everything. Hey, Dr. Beth McDougall, what do you got to say about that? I haven't got a chance to read your book yet because I can't afford to get to the eye doctor. And I don't know. I keep forgetting to take these reading glasses upstairs. That's where I have your book. And all you other doctors out there on the internet that are contradicting each other, saying, eat a high fiber diet. Well, you try finding fiber that doesn't have carbs in it. Come on. Right? Try finding fiber that doesn't have carbs in it. And they'll say, well, a cruciferous vegetables. Yeah, and then those things are oxalates in them, and they give you kidney stones. But there's even some of those they tell you not to eat. They might have sugars, or they have too many carbs. Then it's like red meat. Okay, well, that would give a guy like me a heart attack. Don't eat dairy. You got to be happy. You got to feel good. So don't eat any feel-good comfort foods because they'll kill you. But they'll also make you happy, you know? Just sit down and eat a bowl of ice cream, you know? It's like, this is fun. Listen to some music, eat some ice cream. Oh, man.
Really funny. Really funny.
Yeah, this is a different show. Maybe this will be one of those ones I just don't publish. I mean, it'll be there. It's up. And everything goes to Rumble the next day. Yeah. Everything goes to Rumble the next day, you know.
Go ahead and shoot. You'll be doing me a favor.
It's ridiculous. I don't know, man. I really don't know. Did this thing for some dude. Hey, dude, if you're watching this, I don't really understand your coded message. Are you trying to say you want to keep the $100 for that job or the whatever the price is? That wasn't the game plan, man. You know, if they use that logo, you know, we need the do re mi. Right? Look at my attic. Yours doesn't look like that. Your bedroom, I bet you and your old lady aren't getting water leaked into your house. In your bedroom. Right? Wow, living with a pain in the liver and gallbladder and pancreas, stomach, wherever else. What's next? Yeah. Don't eat breakfast. Don't eat cereal. Don't eat blueberries. Too much sugar in them. You can have blackberries. They're not as bad, but just only as a treat. I never eat any of that stuff as a treat. I'm not really I always ate that stuff for health purposes. Now you're telling me years of eating these kinds of things, I was never like a super fan of blueberries or blackberries. Really, not really. It wasn't my thing. I didn't really have a sweet tooth. Like I say, there were some ice creams I liked, but I usually just kind of got just pretty much plain, plain vanilla, low fat. Sometimes I'd put some blueberries on top of it or something like that. Or I would put dark chocolate, like the high cacao type stuff, so that the ice cream would mellow it out, because supposedly the 85% cacao, that's bitter chocolate. But, you put it in a low fat ice cream, that's still enough in there to just kind of make it taste half decent, and it cleanses the palate after a nice healthy soup. What happened to give 'em some chicken soup, right? They say avoid soups and stuff and broth. I mean, what the? You should you have no idea, and I'm sure if I had people watching this, the few people that do, occasionally a random person comes in. But they'll just make a quick internet search and say, well, I don't know, I found on the internet you can have this, you can have that. Yeah, well, dig it a little deeper, and then you're going to find that the Mayo Clinic goes against it. Or a Cedars-Sinai Hospital doctor saying, take this instead. Or somebody at Johns Hopkins is saying, no, that's that'll basically cause your, liver to explode or something, or give you cancer. I just don't get it. I know it's like, who wants to watch a miserable show like this? Yeah, I got a smile on my face. It's interesting stuff. I mean, wouldn't you rather watch somebody talk like this? I mean, you think you got problems. It's like, watch a guy like me. It should make you feel better, right? I'm not asking you for anything. Like I said, in case you just tuned in, not now, but I mean in the future. That YouTube thing there is a joke. It says, an award for exceeding 3 views. 3 as in the number 3. Trois. Right? Right? Like in Menage a Trois. Right? Yeah. Nobody bought my books. I'm not monetized. People don't listen to my songs, not even the good ones, unless I have to take a break to go to the WC, and then I play one of my tunes, and they do sound pretty good.
This is insane.
Yeah. So what do you want to talk about today? Tales from the Attic. I don't know. Like I say, you could only laugh at this stuff. It's like, it's unreal. And that little space, you see where it says the morning show, and there's like that green little thing that rises up. That's the stairs that go into my bedroom. So to enter my attic, there's a door, but the stairs don't even come right down. I have to lift up this weird little contraption with the last 2 stairs that scrapes against the door. It's insanity. I mean, at times, insanity cubed or something. I've given you the secrets to life. Oh. And what do we got here? I got all these stage clothes and all this set. This coffee goes faster, though, I noticed. I drink faster. I mean, we're only 47 minutes into this show. Yesterday's show was over 2 hours. I'm running out of coffee. It's just black, too. Coffee supposedly creates bile, for those of you interested. Maybe, let's see. I've been wanting to, kind of this was a flow of consciousness, as it says on the bottom of the book. An adventure for your mind. Then what? And like I say, it opens up with an essay, kind of, A Man Out of Time. That's the foreword, so to speak, I think. I don't know if I end that and then get into it. No, I don't. But it's interesting, though. I do have the prediction here in the book of China. Will there be war between China and the U.S.? And if so, it'll probably begin the South China Sea over Taiwan. And I did, this is funny because I wrote this last year, this is last year I wrote this. I see here, I'll read a paragraph. Now, with the Middle East once again in turmoil after the Biden administration botched exit from Afghanistan, the U.S. is in a precarious position when it comes to dealing with a multiple war front, especially if China were to attack Taiwan while Russia made moves in Ukraine and Iran became aggressive in the Middle East and terrorism reared its ugly head again. This would be the closest to a world war scenario since World War II. And with a frail and weak U.S. president and cabinet, this possibility is looking more and more likely in the coming year or two, as this was written last year. Meanwhile, the focus of the Pentagon is training soldiers to be social justice warriors. China, on the other hand, is doing the complete opposite. You know, it's so funny. You know, and I go on to say, for the record, I'm against war, but I'm also a realist when it comes to geopolitics and the fact that there are bad actors out there watching and waiting for the U.S. to falter just a little more. You know, while the U.S. has been infighting over social issues and printing trillions of dollars, creating money out of thin air, China and Russia have been buying up gold reserves at unprecedented levels. You know, and I even mentioned, you know, and kept its. But since then, the U.S. has fixated on the Middle East and has always kept its favorite nemesis, Russia, as a looming threat, despite the fact that the Soviet Union collapsed some 30 years ago and remains a country with a weak economy. That's the funny thing that, you know, that's gone on about this whole thing about these, you know, they put these. I just heard rain on my air conditioning unit. So, like, this whole snow prediction is just such a lie. But I really need to reread my book. Yeah, it's raining. Yet, you know, the app, you know, which just, you know, is currently, you know, kind of updated itself, says it's 37 degrees now, snow, 5 a.m., 83% snow, 6 a.m., 79% snow. You know, today's a 90% chance snow day, 37 for the high, 16 for the low. And so what's up with that? You know, I mean, how is it possible, you know, that they could be so weird? This was a picture of me taken one day while I was writing the book. With my captain's hat on. This book was printed in September of 2021, was written last summer. Imagine that. I was like way ahead of my time. And by the way, it does have, the reason you want the print version is because you got things like the monthly budget worksheet in here, and a book is always better as print. Besides, sooner or later, like I've said before on these various podcasts, this whole house of cards is going to fall, and the grid's going down with it. I mean, that was a pretty good rant yesterday about it. I think I laid it out. I don't need to like get back into that. There's certain things you have to just put into your, you know, file away in, you know, in this bioelectric brain. You know, and I don't go back on any of this idea of consciousness and, you know, your soul consciousness, power, and all that stuff. You know, the idea of focusing on things, even though it's hard to be truly focused, you know, with so many diversions out there. And I kind of believe that if you could be purely focused I mean like laser focused on healing yourself or on doing something. And if more than one person would, group of people would get together and have that kind of same laser focus on the same thing, that I think they could affect positive change. So it's like, don't get the view that I'm just total negative and poor, pitiful me and all that stuff. No, I'm just showing you this stuff because it's just the way it is, right? I mean, it's like there's a line in a Brazilian song, I think, or Portuguese. It's in Portuguese originally, but the translation, it's like, what a cruel joke. Life is a cruel joke or something like that. I forget the line exactly, but that says it. It's enough. And my guitar's probably out of tune. I don't know if it is or isn't. Yeah, it's way out of tune. Might be a good day for this stuff. Let me just see if I could bring this somewhat over here where we can hear guitar and me. E's on. A's on. D's off. D's a hard one. G's also hard. Wait. Actually. Messing around. I mean, it almost sounds like a Dylan thing, but I mean, there's anytime these A minor, F, C, G, G7, D, and then these major seventh chords like those are great chords. But nobody owns those. I mean, or like, I mean, this has to be one of the oldest troubadour melodies. Like, we're talking about medieval, right? There's no copyright on this one for sure. Lennon used it in The Working Class Hero. This is a crappy guitar. I mean, I have an electric that I do most of my music on, and I can convert it when I run it through my multi-track. I can make the electric sound like an acoustic. So I don't use this. This is just something to fuck around with. So the bridge, I had to file down the bridge to try to even get this playable, because this was like some cheap ass, less than $100 guitar. Turn off my tuner. As soon as you're born, they make you feel old or small, but giving you nothing instead of it all. Till the pain is so something you can't function at all. A working class hero is something to be. A working class hero is something to be. Keep you doped on religion and sex and TV. And then they expect you to pick a career. I wish I had the lyrics in front of me, but I don't. It's a great lyric. My attic is flooding again. The rain's made it down to where we sleep and make our bed. There's rain in the hallway just the same. And soon there'll be more rain. Well, it's good to tune it every now and then. Keep it in somewhat tune. I know. I was just farting around. It's not a, like I say, it's a guitar that's kind of noodle around and mess around with, but it's hard to, it's just been laying around open for years. Hasn't been kept in a box. It's not temperature. So like the neck is just kind of messed up. And the only reason it sounds somewhat half decent is that a couple of months ago, and that was probably 6 months ago, I literally did file down the neck and tried to like clean out some of the things. I restrung it, and so at least I could get some decent ideas if I'm thinking of, if I got something in my mind. But it's hard to even some of the basic chords. The neck's a little warped, and so it's hard. Sounds like an apology or something, and maybe it is, but no, it's totally different on the electric or on a good acoustic. It's just it's warped, so you can't like really, do some things you just wanted, some simple acoustic things you want to do. So what good's an acoustic guitar if you can't play the basic acoustic stuff on it? And it doesn't have that sound. Like when you put when I was doing those bar chords, those major seventh chords, those are beautiful, like really rich sounding chords. And they didn't sound that rich on there. It's just not, I don't know. It's called a Starcaster. Like just some, I don't know where, I think that's the name. But it's not a Fender, I'm pretty sure. I don't know what it is. Well, anyway, so we got through that interlude. It's always good to have a little live something or other on. But yeah, heck. I was going to take a picture of my grow room, but I didn't feel like turning on my thing. I'm tired of looking at that, man. That's just like makes me sick in my stomach, which I already am. And I have no idea why that leaked. See, the real leaking is like underneath those bins, but there's no sign of water getting in anywhere. And it can't come from up. And I had taken everything up, as I showed in a previous show. I had taken it down to the floor, which I actually can show you since we're into this. I know you're not, but I am. What the heck? Did I put this in latest? Let's see, before, after here. Yeah, maybe this is it. Let's see. Yeah, this might be it. Yeah. I mean, this is insane. But this is what I did underneath there. You see, I thought, well, maybe it was coming from like here, this like somehow behind this wall, behind the wall in the back. I was using my mouse and I realized you can't see my mouse. You know, they should have a thing in here called a pointer. I don't think they do. This is, let's see, scene. Yeah. No. I don't think they have anything like that. Let's see. View. Multi-view, full screen. Stats. Docs. Scene collection. Tools. Decklink options. I don't even know what that means. Anyway. So somewhere under here it's pooling water, but I don't know where the water's coming from because all around the edges of the back you can see are like a clean white, totally waterproof rubbered backdrop with an area that's brownish in the left-hand corner that I actually added, I used like liquid nails to put down this molding that people have, in rubber molding, and then caulked it and then rubberized all around it. And then that black tape, which is barely visible because it's covered with liquid rubber, is the black liquid rubber's black rubber tape, which is highly waterproof and like sticky as hell. So I don't know where the hell the water could possibly have come in from, especially since there was no water showing in the buckets. See, that's the crazy part. Like I say, well, so I don't know. It's weird. So it's just something I have to deal with. And like I say, you know, this stress kind of, even if you try to keep yourself, totally focused, you still have to deal with it. And it's a stressful thing, I don't know. It's weird. And I don't know why my stomach has been bothering me lately. So what's that? On top of everything else. It's not like I'm... And, you can't take Tums and Rolaids because they're like bad for your kidneys and liver and stuff too. So I can't take antacids. And I think they're also bad for your microbiome or something like that. So it's like, you drink a lot of water and that kind of helps. And then they say peppermint, maybe cinnamon, and some natural things they have. And I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know what to do. And the only thing the only doctor I could go to, the doctors that deal with this whole area down there, they just want to, their advice is just cut your gallbladder out, as if that's a cure-all. And your gallbladder is a necessary thing. It even affects your thyroid, it affects your pancreas, and it affects your, it affects all kinds of things. How you, basically your whole colon, whatever. So it's like, you could spend the rest of your life pretty much, on a toilet, put it that way. So I could see how some people just like kind of get addicted to prescription drugs or to something weird like that and then just die young or something. I don't know. I mean, I'm really annoyed about this. I always figured I'd make it to at least 80. I mean, I don't know if the planet's going to make it that long because of, various between the CMEs and the possible, end of world scenario if this 12,000 year cycle thing occurs. And like I said yesterday, just by looking at, the socioeconomic geopolitics going on around the world, but tie that in domestically to our high crime, high inflation, and our grid, a crumbling grid system that, and these food shortages and supply chains, and all that sort of stuff. And the fact that we could be facing next year an inability to heat our homes because somehow this government is just not, is taking away, we've gone from being energy independent to now being dependent on energy. And the price of oil, I heard yesterday, spiked. One of them spiked up to $110 a barrel. And so people are paying anywhere from, $3.30, $3.60 to $6 in some places in California and stuff. $3 to $6. So, you're probably averaging over, somewhere in many states around that $4, which used to be like the ceiling, the absolute ceiling, which usually caused serious economic hardships. And apparently they released 30 billion barrels or something, 1 or 2 days worth of the oil, as if that's going to alleviate the problem. It's like, we don't have the strategic reserves, which were filled up, under the last administration, I believe. But I mean, if they empty those strategic reserves, that just reinforces what I'm trying to tell you, this whole idea of I give it 18 months at the outset until the house of cards falls. Because if they keep doing that, they're eventually going to run dry. And they have to buy oil at 110, 120 a barrel. I mean, this is insane. It was under $50 a barrel just a couple of years ago. So the price of oil has doubled, more than doubled. And like I say, the price of some foods has doubled. Right? And on the low side, things have inflation is at least 25 to 30%. It's not 7%. See, when you look at real prices. So, it's in that situation where I guess a leaky roof as long as I have buckets. I just have to add to my job. I really wanted to focus on the garden work, but I mean, I just have to add to my job. And that's what I have been doing the past 3 or 4 days. I've been, I spend a little time up in the attic, which was for naught. All that work and money, money I could have spent on other things. I could have bought bags of soil for my raised gardens and stuff, Instead, I put it in, it's liquid rubber in a can. Look, I'm in a boat that has a screen on the bottom. I mean, I'm sorry, man, you're a liar, Or you put so much on or whatever. I don't know. You got 10 coats of that shit on there, You see what I mean? Look, we could put it on. This bucket is leaking. I'm going to put it on and it's going to seal it right while it's wet. Trust me, I tried doing that in the middle of one of these deluges. It doesn't stick. false advertising or like whatever, or they have some kind of thing, they have an out, but whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's deceptive, put it that way, at the very least. So I have no idea. And my dehumidifier's decided not to work. It's in perfect shape. I've taken care of it. I've hardly used it. And it just doesn't seem to work. I also don't have like modern power in the third floor. Like they didn't when they rewired this house up to about the second floor, but the attic was no longer used by the last guy. And it was the last guy there's two people owned this house. This house is about 100 some years old. Okay. And the first guy, I think he built it. I think it's a Sears home. I think he literally built this home. They got it dropped off, bought it on a Sears catalog for about $3,000. They dropped off everything, the manual, all the parts, nails, screws, everything you need, windows. And he and whoever, his friends, he was a single guy as far as I know, he built it. And I'm probably lived there as long as he could. And then this other guy bought it in, like, I don't know, 50s or 60s. And he ran a barbershop in this room I'm in right now, like a one-chair barbershop. And he was single, though he did have a girlfriend who apparently still lives somewhere around here. I mean, she's an old woman now. And so, but he never used the attic. So I guess he maybe stored some stuff up there or something. So anyway, I don't know what that really means, what I was trying to get at. And I had no use for the attic either. I, went up there to look at it once. That kind of thing. Okay. Not interested, no need for it. Don't need to store stuff up here, And I figured I'd be the last guy in this house, because I knew the house was old and stuff like that. But the roof, when I bought it, in fact, one of the parts that's leaking, technically, if you look at it, it's a fairly, by all accounts should have another 5 to 7 years of life on it, those tiles. You can tell by just looking at them. It was repaired. Or I mean, not repaired, replaced. But what happened was we've been getting like the weather patterns because of this magnetic field, the winds. I've said this before, and I think the wind blew off a couple of panels, and that's where I'm getting these leaks. And I can't get anybody up there to fix it. Because nobody wants to fix roofs now. And it's too tall for ladders. So, what are you supposed to do? Put a $20,000 roof on a house that you paid less than that for? Well, I don't have 20 to waste. And I don't want to, I can't afford that kind of loan that would put me in a situation where I wouldn't have enough money at the end of the month to pay my bills. But so, it's just another thing. So it's like the garden is fun. The sun is fun. We're heading towards spring. That's cool. It's 6 to 7 months of like good living, assuming my health isn't bad. So I got to kick this thing, right at this exact moment, like as I'm talking to you, I'm like, okay. You know what I mean? I go through there's parts of the day where I'm just completely okay. Like even this morning before the cat started jumping on my liver, my gallbladder, and climbing up and getting his face right in my mouth, like right up to the, You never did that stuff before. It's only been since I've had this sickness. And I read somewhere that they do that. Like they could smell, sense it. But it's like, hey, man, you know, unless you could, like, you got some kind of magic, you know, juju you could pull on me or do something, you know, don't wake me up in the middle of the night, because sleep is an important part of healing process. So, yeah. Game over. So, you know, what can I say?
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
Good morning.
I mean, it's my vlog, right? I could cry if I want to. And in the grand scheme of things, like I say, hey, I'm not in a war zone, you know. You know, don't take me wrong when I criticize, you know, the fact that these, you know, the organized crime syndicate and war profiteers and stuff are behind these kinds of things. It's still tragic and it's still insane and it's still all that crap. You know, so it's not, you know, it's not me being political or or pushing some kind of ideology. I'm just commenting on things. But, you know, life stinks, you know, for a lot of people, but it could always be worse, like I say. What can you do? I mean, you know, it's insane. I tried, and it looked good, and somehow I failed. Right? I failed.
Really funny. Really funny.
And what am I supposed to do? Right? What am I supposed to do? I have no answers, you know. So I'll just get into the garden, I guess, and hope that this is a 2-year-old picture, that, you know, last year's garden was better, and that this year's garden is better than last year's, and that chair, that I'm on that chair back there by the detached garage, my little workshop, and I'm just soaking up the sun, getting some vitamin D, and you know, listening to some music and stuff. It's the best I could hope for. It's the best anybody could hope for, is whatever makes you comfortable, whatever you're into. You know, I don't know. So, yeah, I look at this thing, and I just can't imagine this house of cards not falling. You know, and I'm, like I say, I'm not one of these fear-mongering, fear porn, or trying to scare people or sell something or anything like that, you know. I'm just calling it like I see it. You know, and I just still, like I started the show off earlier, trying to say, the puzzling part is that I don't understand why other people don't see this. Like, why it's not, like, obvious to them. You know, why are there popular pundits who are actually, you know, independent, you know, YouTuber type of people, who are independent of the, you know, the legacy media, mainstream media, whatever you want to call it, who kind of see themselves more as some kind of centrist, or like, you know, like they're trying to give you the straight dope, so to speak. But when you mention something, or somebody mentions, or they pop up some tweet or something by somebody that alludes to the Great Reset or the World Economic Forum or the Davos set, they treat it like it came out of the mouth of Alex Jones or something. But it didn't. It's like, you know, that, you know, Klaus, you know, Schwab really exists. he runs the World Economic Forum. They do meet in Davos every year, right? If you go to their website, they have a thing there that explains the Great Reset. They have a commercial that says you will own nothing and be happy. And yet these guys like sit there like that's like, oh, that's some kind of weird tinfoil hat thing. I mean, if the stock of military contractors has gone anywhere from 10 to 14 or 15% up in the past couple days, that's called war profiteering, right? And the price of oil is up to $110 a barrel, right? Or something like, it's ridiculous like that. Both, there's like two different oils. There's Brent crude, and then there's the other one. Like I say, I'm not an oil expert, but I am enough to follow the markets. But both are over 100, and they used to be like basically around 50 or less. So the price of oil's double. We're talking war profiteers, and you're telling me nobody gave a call to Putin, gave him the okay call, that this isn't socioeconomic geopolitics playing out, and the people caught, in the crossfire, literally, are just cattle to these people at the World Economic Forum, which is an organized crime syndicate. I mean, don't you, how hard is, what kind of stretch is that? It's not a stretch. It's about oil pipelines. It's about selling weapons. Who profits on war? There's motivation behind it. Why do you go to war? There's no other reason. I mean, not you or not me. I mean, I'm against it. Any rational, reasonable person is against anything like that. But like I say, compared to the fact that 40,000 people a week on average in the U.S. are dying unnecessarily of various diseases like heart disease, kidney disease, cancers, and all these other things, and committing suicide. And at another 2,000 a week on average are dying from homicides, most of which go unsolved. Well, that makes the war dead, which is a horrible thing to say, phrase, but that makes the whatever the war dead numbers are look, pale in comparison. It's the same as that plague that they've now conveniently forgot about because they got a new news story to keep people tuned in during the commercial breaks. Because that's another thing you have to remember what war is good for. The media profits on it. So the announcers, they make double digits, 7 figures or more. And the media companies that were on the verge of collapsing, are like rejuvenated. So the media profits, the war, contractors profit, and the oil companies profit. Meanwhile, here at home, we're being tormented by big ag, right? And big tech that's like screwing us over. And our infrastructure's falling apart, and it's unfixable. It's unfixable. Because the U.S. is just too big to fix it in time. So we're going to have grid failures, until it just becomes so overwhelming that it's dystopia and Mad Max land everywhere. It's already Mad Max land in neighborhoods in Detroit. Like I said yesterday, Chicago, South Central LA, Philly, New York, parts of New York, Atlanta, Dallas. We have no-go zones in the United States. But the media doesn't talk about that. They don't talk about the nearly 100,000 homicides a year in this country. 100,000. You think that many people are going to die from this socioeconomic, geopolitical incursion, this war between NATO, and the EU trying to, end Russia? No. There's more people dying in Africa right now in countries that most Americans don't even know the name of. There's people dying in countries in Southeast Asia that people don't even know the name of. There's people dying in South American countries. They're bartering in some countries down in South America. That's how bad the situation has gotten. Literally. Their money's become so worthless that they're already into the barter system. You don't see that news story. You should see, there's like YouTube channels. I'm a YouTuber. Like I say, I cut the cord. I do what I say. I'm not a hypocrite. I do what I say. I cut the cord a long time ago, almost a year and a half ago. I canceled my, I had DirecTV was the last service I had for like over the air for cable type of, broadcast cable type, whatever. I mean, though it was satellite. And so I subscribed to like different YouTube channels. And just for the sake of it, I subscribed to some African channel. Yeah, Nerve Gorilla. Glad you stopped by. Yeah, I don't believe people don't have to be on the internet. You're right. Yeah, screw the internet. Fuck the internet. I'm just doing it for the time being. Something to fucking do. Just like you, I guess. I mean, some of my shows have gotten crazy. You actually, some of the stuff you've done has been an inspiration, man. Check out Nerve Gorilla. I don't know if he's still viewing. There's still somebody viewing, but I don't know if it's still him, but he left the chat. But check out his channel. He's got some cool stuff on. He does. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I get some really good belly laughs out of some of the stuff that goes on there. And that chat room is, could be hilarious sometimes. But, this whole house of cards is going to fall, and with it, and that's how the internet goes. One day it's just going to turn black. And what are these people going to do when it's like, oh, I can't text my friend anymore? Well, I don't text anybody right now, so screw that. It's weird. It's weird. Yeah. So, I don't know, man.
It's an excursion into the odd and into the very, very different.
Too many frickin' cattle, And, I really don't care about it. Because the idea is there's nothing, if you can't do something about a thing, there's no use wasting your time, on it. So it's like, people that, we got to do something. We got to change, we got to get involved. NATO got to get involved over there, and the U.S. should be doing. It's like, screw that, man. So what? What are you going to do? You're already sending them Stingers and cruise missiles through Germany and over Poland, right? So that just means, all that means is you're going to kill a bunch of Russians. Eventually the thing will end, all right? But it's over across the sea. We got problems here, man. We got problems here. Over 2 million people dying of frickin' diseases. You eat a box of cereal and it's like all sugar, carbs, and all this crap, and you like I saw 2 shows ago. That's a show you should have seen, dude. I realized I just for the sake of it wrote down what my breakfast bowl of cereal was, which I had some fruit in it and some various things. And it was like I had like 100 grams of sugar, 175 grams of carbs, which is sugar. I mean, it was like literally poison, And they wonder why, I don't have diabetes or type 2 diabetes or anything like that. But it's a wonder I don't, and it's a wonder more people don't. But it's no wonder that there's so many people that die of it and do have it, because they have no fucking clue how much sugar, they're being consumed, and how much crap and that they're putting in their food. And they tell you, wear a mask and social distance and wash your hands, right? Of course, they're kind of easing off on that because they got this war to sell commercials on now, so they don't give a shit so much about that, right? But, you know. So, you know, screw the politicians. You know, they're all marionettes, you know, of the corporatocracy. It's all part of a big organized crime syndicate that's involved in all this shit. The media and politicians, right? And it's all hypocrisy for profit, right? Hypocrisy for profit. So what does it really matter anymore? I don't know. But yeah, I'll do these things, and today might be a downer for some people, you know, in one regard, but I don't know. It's not really a downer. It's just weird. It's just bizarre. You got these days that are like this. But yeah, when I think about it, you know, how could people not see what's really going on, right? It still blows my fucking mind. How do you not see reality? I mean, do you really believe people on TV? I mean, that's as bad as the internet. Maybe worse. Right? Because at least on the internet, there's a few idiots like me that occasionally come out and, you know, and like pull up a few things, you know, expose a thing here or there, or just speak truth to power and don't give a shit. Like I said, I don't care if they could take this show off right now. I got 2 copyright hits this week alone. I don't care, you know. But how people cannot see what's going on. And boy, are they in for a big surprise, you know. And I have this thing, and I don't know if the audio works anymore, which is kind of annoying, but let's see if we can get it to work.
People, you sit there, you're in for one big surprise. People, you sit there, you're in for one big surprise. People, you sit there, you're in for one big surprise.
I don't know if you heard the audio on that. He's saying you people, you just don't get it. You're in for a big surprise. I can't hear audio from this device because my audio is coming in from over here.
After he's talked, we must get rid of him immediately.
So, you know, I'm feeding my line in from another computer, so it gives me more of this.
Really funny. Really funny.
That ability. Otherwise, you know, I have no other way of doing it.
Brilliant!
But yeah, it's crazy. And people are in for a big surprise. You know, they're going to turn on, you know, wake up some morning and the time isn't going to be on their phone, and they're going to think, oh shit, I forgot to put my charger on my phone. Then they go to grab the charger and they realize that there's no power in the house. They go turn on a light in their bathroom without a window, their double sink bathroom, the house in the cul-de-sac with like three garages, and the lawn that looks like a golf course that they have to sit on a sit-down mower like all their other neighbors, right? And they're like, then they go out their front door like in that Tom Cruise War of the Worlds movie. Everybody's out there, and they're all looking at each other like, what happened? What happened? Well, the fucking grid went down, man, because it's old, right? And guess what? In about a couple of days, the water's going to stop being pumped into your house, and your toilets aren't going to flush. It'll take a little while till that happens, but all that runs on electric too. And you better hope this happened during the springtime, so at least you have the spring and the summer and the fall, because if it happens in the middle of the winter, you're just going to freeze to death. Right? Yeah, that's the future. You know, that's dystopia. Right? You think crime rates are going to go down? How's that going to happen? They keep going up. What about the smash and grabbers and the opportunistic looters? Right? Think that stopped? It's just not making the news. They're still doing that shit. They're still doing that. Right? These people are crazy. You know? They don't know how to cook. They don't know how to survive. They just want to take what they take. It's like, I used to tell this story a long time ago. Well, there was a good Twilight Zone about that. A guy had a fallout shelter one time, and all his neighbors, they all tried breaking in and stuff. One guy got shot and the whole thing. And then the whole thing turned out it was over. And it, you know, and they realized how idiotic, but it was human nature. But I always tell this story. When I was when I was in high school, my senior year in high school, I took a lifeguard course. Because I was going to go down to shore to get a summer job, and I thought, man, what a job. That's a cool job. I was going down to Wildwood, New Jersey, where they had like 400 motels. You know, so there were plenty of swimming pools down there. And I figured, okay, great job. I'm going to go down, get a summer job down at the beach. I'll sit on a lifeguard stand, right? And, you know, with my whistle, right? And just have the good life looking at these babes. And what a way to spend the summer and have that money and nighttime. Back then, you know, you could get like 5 beers for $1 at the Shamrock Cafe, 6 beers for $1 at the Martinique, and the drinking age was 18 before they popped it up. People forget about that. That wasn't all that very long ago. I mean, it was, you know. But anyway, so I had to take this course, you know, and so you had to pick out of a hat what your final test would be, the one in the water. Like, because you had to other things were the basic lifeguarding, you know, how to resuscitate somebody or, you know, deal with this nonsense. Safety stuff. But there were certain things, how to rescue a person. And the most difficult rescue was called double drowning. And sure enough, that was the one that I picked out of the frickin' hat. So when double drowning goes out, somebody's out in a pool and they're, you know, in this scenario at the test, somebody goes and swims out in the pool and they're like treading water, pretending they're drowning. And so I have to dive in the water, get them in the position. The idea is, you know, you get your hand around their chest, under their arms, so you could like swim them back ashore. But what happens is in double drowning, the person that's out there drowning is so freaking out, they try climbing over you because they're just worried about breathing air, right? They're not thinking logically, okay? Right? Like those people in the Twilight Zone episode. Like most human nature, like these monkeys crawling all over the frickin' place and these opportunistic looters and shit. And so another guy has to dive in and save, you know, and so I had to be, actually it was me that was double drowning was my test. So I had to go in and save the two of those people. Because now they both were drowning because the original guy drowning was climbing over, causing the guy who was trying to save him to drown. And yeah, I had to drag two people ashore. And, you know, and that's human nature. You know, people just don't frickin' think. Right? They just panic or they don't know anything. You know, they don't use their frickin' brains, you know? And that's what I see, you know? And the school system indoctrinating, conditioning people, and the media propagandizing, and the politicians lying, and, you know, all this crap. And when you say that stuff, people look at you like, oh, man, you know, you're as bad as like Alex Jones or something. Where's your tinfoil hat, man? Put on your tinfoil hat. It's like, what tinfoil hat? You know, what planet are you living on? You know? This is reality. Do you ever see the people out there? Do you ever go to a grocery store? Do you ever go outside? Do you ever walk into Walmart? You know, I've gone in there. Do you ever see these people? You know? And you imagine them in a grid down situation. You see these people inside, whether you go in a restaurant or just walk by a place, and they're staring down at these phones and shit, texting this and talking to people about whatever they're talking about. Who gives a shit? I got a smartphone, but I got rid of the cellular service like 5 years ago. I use Wi-Fi. I have internet, obviously, but I use Wi-Fi via what's called voice over IP, Magic Jack. They don't, like everything else, I don't get paid anything for anything. I lose money doing this shit. I don't know why I do it. I pay $39 a month or a year for my phone service. A year. Well, plus tax, whatever the fuck it is. Yeah. $40-some a year is my thing. And I have an app for my old phone. Though they keep trying to like make that not work. It's touchy. Cuz it's an older iPhone, cuz I'm not going to buy a new one. They won't allow me to upgrade to the latest operating system. So it doesn't want to like function. It's sporadic and spotty. And it's the same with this computer I'm using right here. This is old enough. It's not too old, but it's just old enough that it won't take the latest operating system. It's a Mac. But I'm able to use this OBS thing that has all this crazy goofy stuff on it. And that's open source. So it's fun. But yeah, I don't get people, man. So yeah, I think I have at best 30 subscribers, and there are probably some random bastards. I would say 2/3 of those people probably came here once, subscribed for the fuck of it, and just never watched it again. My average views average around like 2 or 3, sometimes 7. And I think a couple of those are myself, because if I watch this myself on TV, my TV app upstairs, I watch the playbacks of these, and so I think that counts. YouTube, the internet. I don't know what people are going to do without it. I'm telling you, the grid's going down one way or another. It's inevitable. It's just like these old, 100-year-old sewer pipes and these old gas lines, right? They're digging on my street for the past 3 years, and they just can't fix those suckers. They can't fix it. They just keep digging, and then they redig and they redig because they don't know what the hell they're doing. And it's just in some city organization. It's like they brought in some big-time contractor, all kinds of heavy equipment, dozens of people. I mean, they got all the stuff, everything you can imagine. It looks like a so-called professional operation. I'm sure it's a multi-million-dollar contract. But every time they'd go dig down, 2 months later, they're digging up the same spot. Or the gas company has to come and dig up a spot where they worked because they've somehow screwed up a gas line and it smells like gas. I talked about this yesterday. I talked to the guy at the gas company when I went out one time because they were doing it right in front of my house. I smelled the gas myself. And the guy said, everywhere they dig, they're messing, we have to go after whatever spot they dig in practically and fix the gas line because these guys don't know what the hell they're doing. Well, how many streets are there in America? I mean, think about it. It's an incomprehensible amount. There is no statistic for that. I mean, I could look for it, but I guarantee there can't be possibly. Let's try here. Take a look. All right, let me see how many streets in America. How many streets in the U.S.? To be exact, there are at least 955 streets in the U.S. named after him. Who the heck? What? Oh, Martin Luther King. How many streets? How many? We counted literally every road in America. I don't want roads. Well, put it this way. There's 955 streets named after Martin Luther King. You know, we counted literally every road in America. What do you got here? Some commercials. You can't find this stuff. Yeah, you know, talking about that, you know, using the voice over IP through the internet, not even paying the $40 for Nerve Gorilla, or not. I mean, I'm responding to Nerve Gorilla's chat. I mean, not even using Magic Jack, so to speak. Yeah, I've used, like, you know, even Google Voice things. You know, you can mess around with all that stuff. I've had success, you know, doing that too. I just have it because I use it as my house number. Because the thing about this stupid Magic Jack thing, and like I say, I'm not promoting this thing, but what it does is you basically take your Ethernet cable out of your internet modem, and you plug it into this device that has a phone jack in it, and so you could plug that phone jack into any house jack, and so that'll like make all your house jacks wired for traditional phones. And so I don't really I could use this old iPhone app on it, but if I'm out in my backyard or I'm upstairs, half the time I'm just using one of these. I got this, you know, like a Walmart wireless phone for like $19.95, you know, and I could take that out back and I'm hanging out in my backyard and I could get a phone call and I'm talking on a regular phone to somebody. So I have regular phone service and Wi-Fi phone service for like $40 a fucking year. Right? That's ridiculous, right? You know, and I see people paying ridiculous amounts of money for cell phone service, internet service, and all this stuff, or combo services, and they're crazy. You know, it's nuts. But yeah, you still got to pay. You know, you still got to pay for your internet, so it's not free. They got some weird thing going on right now where I am, where I'm paying half the price for internet too. So I hope that continues. I hope that continues a little bit longer. That's the one thing about these crazies in office right now, is that there's a lot of weird freebie type of stuff you could get that, you know, I mean, I'm open with this all the time. I basically live below the poverty line, you know, intentionally. This house I have, the reason my roof leaks is because my mortgage, taxes, and insurance are like $200 a month. So that's why I'm pretty much free. And once you're under the poverty line, which is like just under $14,000 a year, right? And like I say, man, I got, you know, this isn't such a bad spread, you know. I mean, that's my backyard's that's a detached garage, and I got a garden, and I got a backyard and stuff like that, and I got all this set up. I mean, what the heck? I'm on a main street. You know, it's not like I'm in some ghetto. You know, there's like a doctor's office next door to me, and across the street, those lights you see in the camera 2 view up there, that's like a hardware store. So I'm not, you know, it's not a bad area. I just lucked out. This used to be a barber shop, and he lived here, and he died not in the house. Not that that would bother me, but I mean, the guy who died somewhere in a nursing home or something, the house just sat here for like a couple of years. And the person who his ex-girlfriend or something, who was some old lady, she wanted to get rid of it. And I bought it for like 15 grand or something like that. You know, so my mortgage was like $200 a month. I mean, you can't rent a place for that. And it's a 2-bedroom house with a full bath upstairs, and down here I have a half bath because this used to be a barbershop, this room. So he had to have like a, you know, I guess it's like code. You have to have like a half bath, you know, with the sink and stuff, you know, for your license or something. So, you know, I don't know, man. It's just, the idea is there's ways of living, and you know, if you live below the poverty line, if you're like one, if you can do it, you don't have to file income taxes anymore if you're under that level. And then you qualify for certain other things like free health care and stuff. And it's like, I don't feel bad about it. Like, I don't feel like I'm like messing with the system and stuff like that, because I've had, you know, I've worked, I've had jobs, I paid my taxes, I did all that shit, you know. But at this point, it's like I'm just looking at it and going like, you know, when the shit hits the fan, you know, I think I'm in a much better position than other people, and I'm not dependent on this damn internet thing. You know, I'm not dependent on anything. And I've got that garden out there. I could grow food. I mean, last year, I grew food from, there's like these cold weather crops. I mean, some people aren't interested in this. But there's certain things, whether you like it or not, things like kale, lettuce, Swiss chard, radishes, beets, and weird things like that, beans and stuff, that they grow. That's like, they don't care if it's cold. And things like kale, it could even go down to a frost and it won't kill the plant. It just, you know, it just won't do anything. And you could get that stuff growing in May. I've already started growing stuff indoors right now. And then, you know, you do the classic, you know, all the other vegetables and all the other kind of stuff you want, whatever you're fancy. And so all summer long, I got food, and that food keeps growing right up to the first frost. So, you know, and the first frost isn't, you know, till, if you're lucky, later in October or something like that where I live, mid-Atlantic states. So you're talking, you know, May, June, July, August, September, October, you know, that's like 6 months. But in reality, I start indoors. So, and then I have food, because if I have squash, potatoes, carrots, and things like that I've grown, I've got 2 apple trees out there. I didn't get apples yet, but they've been up long enough. I think this year I'm going to get apples, and I might get grapes and blackberries this year. But things like, you know, things like the potatoes and onions and garlic and squash and stuff, well, that stuff, that'll keep, and, you know, you'll be eating that into December. You know, so, you know, the only months that you know, technically, and I've already grown kale this year in my, on my porch, indoor porch closet. I've got some grow lights and stuff, and I put some of that, I've grown, and radishes indoors. So even in January, you know, I got food in the house. I'm going to try to expand that next year. So I could almost grow year round my own food if I had to, you know. And I don't drink rainwater or anything like that, but I have rainwater capture bins. That's how I water my garden, so I don't have a big water bill. So I use free water. You know, but I could easily throw that into one of those Berkey things, which I don't have, but I want to get, and drink it if I had to. I mean, so I don't know. There's all this kind of stuff that the average person wouldn't even think of. You know, they just like freak out and go down to supermarkets, smash the windows, go in and just empty the shelves and then move on. And then eventually just break into people's houses and stuff. I have a big picture window in my front window that I actually strategically put in this plywood board to split the window in such a way and painted it to match the frame and stuff that it actually looks like it's the way it should be. But in reality, what I'm doing is basically I put this double heavy duty thing in so nobody could smash my window, and climb in it. And I've backed up the other side of it. And I've got a security you see camera 2 outside up there. I've got security cameras, motion detectors based on using solar. Those things really work, man. But, I'm not a survivalist. I'm not a prepper or anything like that. I'm just saying just do what I do just so I'm free, so I don't have to deal with the stuff. And if the shit hits the fan, it's I'm not going to be in a panic. I'll survive. I don't care. And I've got this power backup thing, this jackery thing. That's what controls my on-air light and stuff. And that other light you see there. That's all stored power stuff. So it's I could still listen to music and, do crap. And then you could just recharge them with a little mini cheap-ass solar panel. You don't have to have some complex, expensive system. People don't think, they don't. That's what I'm trying to say. People don't think. They're just brainwashed or conditioned or indoctrinated or propagandized or whatever. They have no idea what's going on in the world. They don't know what socioeconomic geopolitics is all about. They don't understand war profiteering, right? In them, it has to be some simplistic thing that some stupid-ass announcer is just trying to get you to stay tuned during the commercial break, right? And so they're thinking Russia, 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 Putin, 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 Trump, 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 whatever, Biden, Biden, whatever. Like I say, I don't even care about any of this anymore. And they look at it and think, okay, yeah, it's he's trying to take over the world. Putin's trying to take over the world, take over Europe. It's yeah, believe whatever you want to believe. If it makes you happy, But when you wake up and you can't text your friend anymore, yeah. Good luck. Right? There used to be a show a long time ago. I used to watch TV. I'm talking 20 years ago. Where some hot chick used to have this show on the Food Network or something I used to watch. And the show was called How to Boil Water, which I thought was a great name. Because she was really the idea, the concept was totally abusing people, that people don't know how to even frickin' cook. And so it was How to Boil Water was the title of the show. And it was this blonde chick who played the dumb blonde thing, right? And this other dude who was a cook, who was a chef type of guy. And she would sit there or stand there at this, the classic TV kitchen looking thing, counter thing. And each episode, once a week, a show used to be on. I used to watch it every now and then, not religiously. And he would show her how to basically make something as simple as mac and cheese or something. Or whatever. It was, and that was the whole idea. And she'd be there oh, wow, right. I see. But it's you go to the grocery store, and if you look at the people in front of you, and all they've got is a bunch of frozen pizzas, bags of chips, and case of soda and stuff like that in their thing. They're just eating this junk food, stuff they could throw in a microwave. A friend of mine has a place that sells fast food, a delivery, but it's his own. It's just it's in the neighborhood type of thing. It's not a chain or anything like that. It's just a thing. He's done it for, I don't know how many years he's did it. It's his own business, small business. And he sells things pizza, chicken, French fries, that kind of stuff. And they deliver. And his prices have had gone up because the minimum wage keeps going up. So, and the cost of stuff, everything's way sky high now. And he says these people call and they say, you know, yeah, I want a couple dozen chicken wings and this, that, the other. And he's like on the phone to them going, well, you realize that's going to cost you that's about $60 some. I don't care. Yeah, I'll take it, you know. And they come down and they pick it up and pay for it. Because they got all this free money. You know, there's this new thing now where like up to age 17, if you pop out a kid, you get $300 a month. When the kid turns 5, you get $250 a month until they're age 17. So if somebody has like 3 or 4 kids, they're getting like $1,000 a month cash on top of their free healthcare, free housing, you know, and free everything else. You see what I mean? People don't understand. And so the poor, the so-called welfare state, they're living better than a lot of people in the so-called working class, middle class now. You know, because the wage slave, the guy or girl goes to work every day, you know, it's like work, eat, sleep, work, eat, sleep, work, eat, sleep, maybe go out in the weekend, work, eat, sleep, work, eat, sleep, work, eat, sleep, maybe I'll be able to get a credit card so I can go on a vacation in the summertime, and it's work, eat, sleep, work, eat, sleep, work, eat, sleep, work, eat, sleep, die, right? Get some kind of disease, get old and die. What a life, right? Work, eat, sleep, work, eat, sleep. And that's the person that actually does go, you know, does some kind of job. And, you know, it's going to hit the middle class because the upper middle class, what's left of it, these people who have these houses in the cul-de-sac, like I was saying, and the sit-down mowers and the couple SUVs and the 3-car garage and all that stuff. Well, when you've got inflation, I mean, even the Dollar Tree is $1.25 now, right? You know, the price of gas is doubling, right? The price of heating oil or gas, however you're heating your house, is like doubling. You know, people who eat steaks and stuff like that, or they're used to having these family meals and cooking this type of stuff, all that price of food is like, you know, gone up half or doubled, you know. So they're become wage slaves. So you could be making $60,000, $80,000 a year, and I'm saying this house of cards is falling down. Within the next year, you know, they're holding it together because it's a midterm election year. That's it, you know. Anyway, I guess I could go on and on and on.
Good morning.
But I'm not going to. I didn't realize I was over 2 hours. Anyway, my site's rockflux.com. That's where like my links to my crap is. Check it out. If they kick me off this channel, these things show up on Rumble. I'll do this on Rumble. I'll do this for as long as I can, as long as I feel like it. I'm like I say, I get bored with it sometimes. Anyway, take care. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.